My dad called to tell me he just learned my mother was on the exact flight as him and my stepmom. Hey guys, welcome back to another week of me reacting to your wedding stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Christa, formerly known as Party Planning by Christa. I share all kinds of skits and crazy stories all over social media that people send me. Some I do come up with myself, and then when I reiterate skits, I do like to add a little flair and creativity. So I always say they are based on stories sent to me. You will see when you compare a skit to story, I do change a lot because I don't obviously know all the details. I only get little snippets based on what they want to share with me. But it's been a wild ride and I have so much fun creating these stories and skits for you guys. If you want other places to listen or see stories, I have them all on social media. I have them here on YouTube. And then I also have my podcast. And that's where I read stories that are even longer and more detailed. And then we add other fun segments like Would You Rather, hot topics for weddings, and your confessions. People send me confessions on Instagram, so I got a lot of them. When it comes to stories, I created these different areas to share them because I get hundreds upon hundreds, and I don't even know how many are in my document right now, maybe like 400 or 500. So I just keep kind of going through them, and it's been a wild ride. Anyway, let's get to this week's story before I just keep going off on a tangent. She says, apologies in advance for the long message, but I can finally tell you the story of my wedding. Ironically, my husband has 2 brothers, and all 3 of us got married within a single year. Oh, wow. October, June, and September. Okay, wow. RIP to my in-laws' bank account. Mine was the last wedding, just 2 weekends ago. It was a destination wedding, and yes, there was plenty of drama. Oh yeah. My mom has never really liked my husband. Ever since we started dating 4 years ago, I went no contact with her 2 years ago after moving in with him because anytime she reached out, it was only to tell me I was a terrible daughter and would never find happiness. That tells me she's jealous right off the bat. She's either jealous or she's just very unhappy herself, which can kind of tie to those feelings, I feel like. Why are you telling your daughter that? Why can't you just be happy for her? Fast forward to wedding planning. We sent out the invites and lo and behold, my mother suddenly reached out. I'm wondering, she probably didn't send an invite. I'm wondering if it's someone in her family then mentioned it. She left me a voicemail asking what dress she should wear since she was both the mother of the bride and the mother-in-law. Okay, we'll have to find out, but like it says they went no contact. So I'm wondering if she ended up just inviting her to the wedding. I don't know. I'm curious. She started asking about the wedding details, which was shocking considering we hadn't spoken. Then came the barrage. Barrage. Here's gonna be all the comments people making fun of me for not knowing how to pronounce that word. I'm sorry, I don't know how. Okay, I'm gonna look up how to pronounce that. Barrage. Okay. Oh, rhymes with garage. Barrage. Little behind the scenes there for you guys. Okay, back to the story. She messaged or called me more than 3 times a day through August and September. She told family members I'd invite her, then uninvite her, though I hadn't responded at all. So we still don't know, did she actually invite her mom or did she just hear through family members about the wedding and then decide to invite herself? I still don't know. My grandmother demanded to know why she wasn't invited anymore. My uncle lectured me about how important it was for her to be there. A few times she even called me from a blocked number in the middle of the night pleading to attend, saying she hadn't done anything and asking how her presence could possibly hurt me. This is crazy. So you're telling me they're no contact, but then the mom suddenly finds out she's getting married and has to be there. I'm guessing at this point that the mom was not invited and just heard through family members. So she's saying she was uninvited, although she was never invited in the first place. You can't be uninvited if you're not invited, right? So to me, it reads like she just needs to be there because her family's there. But she didn't care in the last 2 years that she had no contact with her daughter. And right before that was calling her, what was she saying? She was saying that she was terrible and would never find happiness. So why would you want to be at a wedding for someone that you think is terrible? Come on, make it make sense. And then the hadn't done anything. Come on. All of this while I was already knee deep in wedding stress. And since it was a destination wedding in Puerto Rico, we had flights booked with our bridal party. We all live in Texas. Around September 13th, the calls finally stopped. I thought she'd taken the hint. Then the night before our flight, September 16th, my dad called to tell me he just learned my mother was on the exact flight as him and my stepmom. Okay, I'm shocked. I'm so shocked. I'm not shocked, but I am shocked because someone like this, yeah, you don't put it past them. But the fact that she still just showed up, like we see in these stories all the time, people are like, just ignore them, just block them, don't do this, or don't give them the time of day. But people like this will find a way. The fact that she still figured out a flight, booked it before the wedding. So someone that was invited to the wedding is giving her all the details. My bets are on grandmother or uncle because they're like, family needs to be together. They can't see why the bride wouldn't want her mom there. Everything terrible that the mom has said or done to the bride. She had secretly bought a ticket to my wedding. I joke about it now, but at the time I was a mess. Nervous, crying, and terrified she'd be waiting for me when we landed. Thankfully, she wasn't. The wedding itself was at an exclusive resort that Saturday. In the meantime, my husband's very Texan family was enjoying Puerto Rico. On the big day, I had the normal jitters and excitement. Everything had been wonderful, except our main photographer, my husband's cousin, who we'll get to in a moment. Oh no. As I was walking to the ceremony with my coordinator, I suddenly noticed I was being escorted by hotel security and police. Okay. Wait, so, I mean, I still have a lot of questions and hopefully they're answered. But when she finds out that her mom's going to Puerto Rico, I'm wondering if because it was at an exclusive resort, if they were like, we're only allowing your guests here, so she can't just sneak in. I'm wondering how exclusive this resort is. Or if she was worried, like I think I would be worried the whole time I was at this resort that she would just show up or just like knock on my door one day. I don't know. Maybe I've seen too many like true crime things. So she's being escorted by hotel security and police. I met my dad halfway, and the two of us continued down the aisle together with security discreetly flanking us. So she's talking about, oh, okay. It says she's walking to the ceremony, and then she meets her dad halfway, and they continue down the aisle together. I'm thinking this is the ceremony aisle, so like for the wedding. But she's being escorted by security. So something's not right, and they feel like they have to be like watching or on guard. I had a beautiful ceremony and reception. Okay, I'm glad everything, the main parts are done. They went beautifully, right? Only later did I learn, here we go, that my mother had tried to crash the wedding. One of the coordinator's assistants spotted her and security had escorted her out. Props to the coordinators and the staff. That is amazing. Like in a movie, I feel like she would have crashed the wedding and it would have all hell would have broken loose. But I'm so glad for her that she was able to have her beautiful ceremony and reception. And I'm sure they warned the staff ahead of time, like, hey, this might happen. She's on the flight. She's going to try to get in. And they did what they needed to do. My husband had my best friend make wanted posters with her photo, which the hotel staff circulated in advance. They were on it. Oh my gosh. Thanks to the coordinators, I had no idea during the ceremony. It all went off without a hitch. Props to those coordinators. They are really doing it. Like, that's a lot to take on. I've definitely heard that before, being a day of coordinator and having consults with brides and grooms before, of like, look out for this person. This person might do this. Nothing this intense, but they'll be like, hey, there's a weird situation going on. Make sure blank doesn't happen, or look out for this person. Wow. So I'm just really glad that the main events went beautifully and she got to enjoy her day. And the staff just did a great job. That's amazing. Of course, other things still went sideways. My mother-in-law showed up in mint green, even though the wedding theme was Star Wars Galaxy. How do you dress for that? Like, do you dress like you're from the movie? I have so many questions. I need to see some pictures. If you want to share, I would love to see them, and share if you want. Our photographer, my husband's cousin, had begged us to hire her back in 2024. Before I read this, you guys know, if you guys have been watching my videos, you know how I feel about hiring family for things. And this is coming from someone like, I had my sister-in-law do our cake because we trust her and she does a great job and she had a cake business and like we knew we could trust her and it was mutual respect, right? But if someone came up to me that either didn't have a business or just did it on the side and then they begged me to be a part of it, I'd say no. I've heard way too many horror stories, especially when it comes to your photographer. Like, so many other things you can figure out later, but a photographer and your photos for your wedding are so, so important. So I'm sad and scared for what's going to happen. Okay, so she begged us to hire her back in January 2024, but by the wedding, she was 7 months pregnant and high risk. She refused to release us from the contract. you would want to be like thinking of like who you can have in place. And that's also you looking out for the person and them looking out for themselves. At 7 months pregnant, you don't really want to be traveling, and especially like getting on a plane, like maybe somewhere you've never been before, not knowing where the hospitals are. That's a big ask. I don't know. I know I wasn't supposed to fly after like 35 weeks, I think, 34 weeks. So, and high risk on top of that. During the reception, she started having Braxton Hicks contractions and panicked, thinking they were the real thing. Luckily, my sister-in-law is a nurse and helped calm the situation. And as for my bridesmaids, I carefully chose specific colors for each of them to match the handmade bouquets I created, only for 2 to show up in the wrong color, and somehow both picked the same one. That's hard. That's hard when you give specific colors to each person and they have to match a theme. I haven't personally done it. I've seen it happen. If I was very specific on colors, I feel like I would have them send me a picture of their dress ahead of time just to avoid these kind of situations. Despite all of this, it was still magical. I truly had a dream wedding, and the coordinators kept the biggest chaos, my mom's attempted crash, completely away from me. Let me know if you want the stories from the other 2 weddings. We had a major wedding year. Yes, I do. Please send them to me if there was more drama. I'm just so glad to hear that you had a drama-free ceremony and reception, that those went off without a hitch. I always say if you are a part of the wedding party or you're a wedding guest, leave the drama away from the bride and groom. I don't care what's happening. Don't tell them. Let them enjoy their wedded bliss. Then you can tell them later if they really want to know, but just let them be drama free for the time being. All right, guys, that's all I have for this week. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you next time. Bye now.